All right, guys. So breaking news out of Auburn, Alabama. Ron Roberts outbidded on by the Auburn Tigers instead of going to Fayetteville, Arkansas, where it was rumored all day yesterday. Auburn pulls a heist on Arkansas. Kind of just like Gus Malzahn staying at Auburn. Auburn is outbidding Ron Roberts. I bet Ron Roberts might be a Jimmy Sexton guy, because yesterday there were two SEC programs trying to get him, and Auburn came in under the tide, and Auburn walks away with Ron Roberts. Ron Roberts, 55 years old, was the defensive coordinator with Dave Aranda the past 3 years, when they went to the Sugar Bowl, when I believe they were in the Big 12 championship the year before. First of all, Ron Roberts, absolute stud. He is the founder, known as the founder in 2012 of simulated pressures. His record at Delta State, somewhere near 51-7, and then was the head coach at Southeastern Louisiana, where he had a decent run. He was like a 500 coach there. But under Ron Roberts came Pete Golding, and Pete Golding rose meteorically to the University of Alabama, where he's a defensive coordinator, Pete Golding, and then Carl Scott, cornerbacks coach in Minnesota, now mentoring Tariq Woolen as a cornerbacks coach with Pete Carroll and Maurice and Hurst. Okay, Mo Hurst, I believe that's out there. All right, so you have Nick Florence, who is a quarterback for Art Briles. And I'm actually going to be talking about that later on in this video. All right, I just thought of Nick Florence's name because I was talking about Nick Florence and Bryce Petty with somebody earlier, because Auburn is also looking to go towards that side of the, on the offensive side of the ball, Auburn is looking to go towards an Art Briles name. All right, I'll get to that in just about 2 minutes. Let's talk about Ron Roberts. This is huge for Auburn. This guy will bring simulated pressures, which means he will overload one side, and then the blitz will come out of nowhere on the other side. He is considered to be an elite play caller on the defensive side of the ball. The fact that Dave Aranda is moving on from him, is it a little concerning? Sure, it is concerning, a little bit. But Aranda's personality, very psychological. Maybe they didn't click perfectly together. All right. So Ron Roberts now, he's a really experienced defensive coordinator and play caller. All right. And I believe now that he's one of the best. All right. And at Baylor, their defense was really successful. Southeastern Louisiana, they had solid defenses, okay? You look at his bio. I'm going to try to come up with some statistics here for Ron Roberts, but I really like this hire. Now, the key is go get a D-line coach, a corners coach, and linebackers coaches that can really recruit, okay? Give Ron Roberts the players so he can coordinate the defense. How well can he recruit? So the Baylor defense, 2021. Best in run defense. And then it says they were number 3 this year in run defense. He's coached for 31 years, so he's a vet. He's a vet at 55 years old. All right. Looking here at the bio. 47-16 at Delta State. Delta State in the South, probably D2. All right, and then he was also at Louisiana Lafayette in 2018, and they were 18th nationally. Then in 2020, Baylor, 2020. Dave Aranda was actually the D coordinator under Ron Roberts in 2007 at Delta State. So it just shows you the respect that this guy has in the coaching industry. So 2021, it's one of the best years in Baylor history. They win the Sugar Bowl, win the Big 12 championship, and their defense is awesome. You know, Jalen Petrie, just saw him play a couple hours ago on the Houston Texans as a safety. So those Baylor guys, they have guys that are in the secondary that are now playing in the National Football League. So I really like this hire, okay, of Ron Roberts being the D coordinator with Hugh Freeze. Ron Roberts, I believe, a Texas guy. Now let's go to the offensive side of the ball. Phillip Montgomery, considered the favorite now at Auburn. Now, I know that yesterday, right, Ron Roberts was the favorite at Arkansas. I know that Jason Garrett was a favorite at Stanford. Sometimes these quote-unquote favorites, or when people are targeting, that's another way for an agent to create buzz for their guy and to create bidding wars. So sometimes these don't come to fruition. But Phillip Montgomery would be a tremendous hire. He's from the Art Briles tree. Okay, was with him in Houston from 2008 to 2012. Then, or no, excuse me. He was at Baylor. He was at Baylor from 2008 to 2014. From 2003 to 2008, he was helping out Art Briles. What do you think now when you think of Art Briles? You think of RG3, Lache Seastrunk. You think of who's the guy that Cleveland drafted who went in the first round? Coleman. Okay? Coleman, that wide receiver, was fast as lightning. You think of Heisman Trophy winner RG3, Baylor being in the top 5 with Bryce Petty and RG3, okay, competing for the Big 12 championship and competing for overall top seeds. That's what you think of with Art Briles. Art Briles was really, really successful at Baylor. We're talking on the field. At the end of his tenure, of course, you have the scandals, the sexual assault scandals that happened under Art Briles that casts a shadow on his tenure at Baylor. But in terms of on the field, in terms of being a play caller, his offensive identity, Phillip Montgomery, and also he was like a 500 coach at Tulsa from 2015 to 2022. They always had really good offenses, but they also went from Conference USA to the American, and you see how that can get a lot more challenging. But Hugh Freeze is also from Gus Malzahn. He loves to run hurry up. Hugh Freeze likes to run the football, loves a lot of motion. And you know who else likes tempo is Phillip Montgomery and Baylor, where they will spread you out utilizing aerial raid concepts, okay? So I think Phillip Montgomery would be a sensational hire. Ron Roberts I like. Now, was he kind of okay this year for Ron Roberts standards? Yes. But you look at this guy and he's been elite the last several years. Very smart, very intelligent. It's the first hire for a defensive coordinator. Now, I hope he does stick around. But again, he's going to improve, I believe, the quality of Auburn football in terms of being a DC. And he's also a guy that if you get a young DC, the young DC is going to bounce. Like if you try to get Glenn Schumann, all right, then they're going to pull a Dan Lanning and they're going to bounce. At least Ron Roberts and Phillip Montgomery, there is a chance for continuity where they will stay at Auburn with Hugh Freeze. So this is a big time move, okay, for the Auburn Tigers. Getting Ron Roberts and beating out Arkansas, this was big lands for Coach Hugh Freeze.